Good morning, dear students. Welcome you all in your online class. Today, we will continue the second part of the story, An Alien Hand of Your Supplementary Reader. In the previous class, we read that Tilu's father briefed, explained about the condition where they lived on the surface of the planet. Why it is difficult, hard, why it is hard not to go there. He briefed him properly. After that, we will read here the next part. Before it, we will see the word meaning that I have written on the board. You can see the word meaning and you have to write it in your copy. Now, we will continue the chapter. We will see the chapter further part which we are going to read today. Next day, when Tilu's father went to work, he found the control room full of excitement. What had happened next day when Tilu's father went to work, where he was working, he found the control room full of excitement. Excitement means everyone were excited there. Everyone was excited there. What is the reason? People were crowded around the big TV screen. It showed a dot in an otherwise clear background. The people were crowded, gathered around the big TV screen, and it showed a dot. They were getting a point dot in an otherwise clear background on the screen. Everywhere clear background, but they were getting a single dot. It is not a star. For its changing its position, our computer has given a trajectory for this thing. It is heading towards us, the supervisor of the last shift explained. So here, he was working there, people worked in a shift. So here you get that the supervisor of the last shift explained that it is not a star, for it's changing its position, because it was changing its position, whatever they were watching on the screen. Okay. Now here our computer has given a trajectory. Trajectory means here the word you are getting the word trajectory. Trajectory is a word that is given here. Trajectory means here path described by a moving object. Means here our computer has given a trajectory for this thing, means the thing was moving, changing the position. Okay. It is heading towards us. The supervisor said that it is heading. Heading means coming towards us, towards the planet. A spacecraft, Tilu's father asked. By now, he was joined by his teammates on the new ship. Now, Tilu's father joined the ship. He asked the question, a spacecraft. He has joined the teammates, his companions on the new ship. So we think, but it needs watching. Okay, he said that, but we need what? Watching. A spacecraft wherefrom the solar system was not known to have any life anywhere else except on their planet. Tilu's father recalled the ancient days recorded in the archives at the Central Bureau when their ancestor had a well-developed space program and had searched the solar system with manned and unmanned spacecraft and found that they were indeed alone. A spacecraft, the question was asked, where from? From which place the spacecraft was coming? Tilu's father is telling here that the solar system was not known to have any life, means there was not life in the solar system else except on the planet where Tilu's father lived. Tilu's father remembered the ancient days, okay, the old days recorded in the archives. The word you are Knowing here, archives means the records are kept. Archives is a place where old records are kept. Okay, old documents are kept. So he says that the ancient days recorded in the archives at the Central Bureau when their ancestors, their forefathers, ancestors had a well developed space program. Earlier time, their ancestors had well developed space program and had searched the solar system, and they searched the solar system with manned and unmanned spacecraft. Manned means where man will be, and unmanned without men. So here he said that earlier time their ancestors had well developed space program and they had searched the solar system with manned and unmanned spacecraft, okay, and found that they were indeed alone. And what they found earlier, they found that they were indeed alone in the solar system, nothing is here, okay. Now in the days of energy shortage and underground life, they had no space program. And here Tilu's father is telling his condition where he was living along with his friends and other people. Now in the days of energy shortage, okay, and underground life, they were living underground condition, artificial condition, underground life, and they had no space program. So because of it, they had no space program. They could only watch impotently. Impotently is a word here you are getting. Impotently means helplessly. Impotently means helplessly. They can see only helplessly, okay. Impotently from their vantage point, from their advantageous point. They can't do anything, okay. They can only see who are these strangers, okay. Only they could see. The conference room in the Central Bureau was so quiet that an outsider would have thought it was empty. Far from it. Now here, where they were gathered, the conference room in the Central Bureau was so quiet, very quiet, that an outsider, the people who came from outside, would have thought it was empty. Far from it, okay. It was full of capacity, but the members of the Central Committee were unusually quiet. They were very quiet, but the people who were coming from distance, far away, they could only understand that it was empty, okay. They were very quiet, unusually quiet. They knew that the president was going to make a momentous announcement. And they knew that, what they knew? They knew that the president was going to make a momentous announcement. Momentous means important announcement, okay. Colleagues, I will give you the report as I have it. While I speak, there may be a change in the situation. The president paused to get his papers in order and then continued. Now here the president came. Colleagues, he was telling, colleagues, I will give you the report as I have it. While I speak, there may be a change in the situation. What will be the change in the situation? The president paused to get his papers in order and he continued. He said that 2 spacecraft are approaching us, means 2 spacecraft are coming towards the planet, okay. One is in fact orbiting our planet while the other is still far away. And he is telling that one fact is that one is orbiting, taking round of the planet, and other is far away, still far away. We guess that they are coming from our neighboring planet. And he is telling that we guess that we could think that they are coming from our neighboring planet. Okay. How should we react? Number one, your view, please. The president here asking the reaction. Okay, the opinion, how should we react? Number one, your views, please. He wanted to know the views of number one. Who was number one? We will know here. Number one was in charge of defense. So here number one was in charge of defense. Okay. He was, you know that, known for his courage and wisdom. And number one is known here for his wisdom and courage. Sir, if we wish, we can totally destroy this spacecraft with our missiles. Okay. The opinion of number one is that, sir, if we wish, my opinion, that we can totally destroy these spacecraft with our missiles. Okay. But that would not make us any wiser. But he is telling that it is not the thing of wiseness. Okay. Wisdom, sorry, thing of wisdom. We don't have the capacity to render these craft unoperational in space, but should they land, we can render them ineffective anytime we choose. Now here he is telling that, number one, the in charge of defense is telling that we don't have the capacity to render these spacecraft unoperational in space. We have not the capacity to make the spacecraft unoperational without activity, okay, inactive in space, okay, to render, to deliver, to change the path. But should they land, when the spacecraft land on the planet, okay, but should they land, we can render them ineffective anytime we choose. We can make them ineffective, okay, unoperational. We can render them ineffective anytime we can choose. He is telling. Our reports say that they don't contain living beings, they only have instruments. He is telling, number one is telling that our reports say that they don't contain living beings, they only have instruments. Okay. Now here the president is asking the opinion of number two. Number two, your opinion, please. And who is number two? The scientist on the committee. He is the scientist on the committee. I recommend non-interference and passive observation, since we don't know the power of the senders of these spacecraft and we are still in the dark about their intention. It is wise not to reveal our existence. Number two is telling, who is the scientist? He is telling that I recommend, it's my opinion, what? Non-interference. Don't interrupt, don't interfere. Okay. His opinion is that don't interfere, he is telling. And passive observation. We should only watch passively without doing anything, since we don't know the power of the sender of these spacecraft, because we don't know the power of the senders of these spacecraft, and we are still in the dark about their intention, and we are also unknown about the intention of the people who are sending here. It is wise not to reveal our existence, and he is telling that it is wise, it will be the matter of wisdom not to show our existence means that we are here. Okay. If we destroy these spaceships or render them ineffective, we might reveal our existence. He is telling that if we destroy these spaceships or we make them ineffective, change the way, okay, change the course, or render them ineffective, we might reveal our existence, we might show our existence that we are here. We have to only know their intention, their purpose. Okay. The president looked at number three, a social scientist. Now here the president wanted to take the opinion of number 3, who was a social scientist. He rarely agreed with number 2. Now you know that number 3 rarely agreed with number 2, but this was one those rare occasions when he did. Means number 3 did not agree with number 2, but now he had become agree. Okay. I agree with number 2, sir. In fact, I will go so far as to say that we should keep our surface activities to the minimum. And now he said that I agree with number 2, sir. In fact, I will go so far as to say that we should keep our surface activities to the minimum, thus creating the impression that there is no life on this planet. Now here number 3, the social scientist is telling that I am agree with number 2, sir. In fact, I will go so far as to say that we should keep our surface activities to the minimum. We have to keep control over the surface activities. We have to be silent, and thus creating the impression that there is no life on this planet. If we would be silent, they would know that there is no life, there is no existence on the planet. Okay. Fortunately, our surface condition do give that impression, and he is telling that luckily our surface condition do give that impression. Okay. Before the president could speak, his personal telephone rang. He lifted the receiver and listened quietly for a minute. Colleagues, he announced, the first spacecraft has landed. Now here you know that before the president could speak, his personal telephone rang now, and afterward what had happened, he lifted the receiver and listened quietly for a minute. Colleagues, he announced, the first spacecraft has landed. Okay. The first spacecraft has landed. Now we will next see. It was red letter day in Tilu's life, the day he was waiting for. Now you know that it was a red letter day. Red letter day means an important day in Tilu's life. Okay. He was waiting for his father had at last taken him to the control room, and because of it he had come to the control room to see the spacecraft, to know about the planet. From here he could see the alien spacecraft on his TV screen, and now he could see here the alien spacecraft. The alien means that is coming from the different place. Okay. Spacecraft, different planet, he could see on the TV screen. What a funny looking thing, daddy. What does it contain? Tilu asked. Now you can see that he is telling that what a funny looking thing, daddy. What does it contain? Tilu asked. Tilu asked that what does it contain, father? His father shook his head. Can't say for sure. We are only allowed to observe it from far. His father only shook his head, moved his head, and he said that can't sure. We are not sure. We are only allowed here to observe it. Okay, from far, from distance. But we control all its parts and can exercise our power if it is up to any mischief. But he is telling that we control all its parts and can exercise, we can use our power if it is up to any mischief, if any type of mischiefs can be done by the spacecraft. Okay. He pointed to an impressive panel with several colored buttons on it. Tilu looked at them wistfully. And afterward, Tilu's father pointed to an impressive panel. Panel means board with several colored buttons on it. There were several colors button on the control panel, impressive panel, and Tilu looked at them wistfully. Wistfully means greedily, with different intention. Okay, wistfully. Look, it is up to something, Daddy. Tilu suddenly noted some movement in the spacecraft. Others in the control room saw it too. All eyes were now glued to the screen. Now you can see that, look, it is something, Daddy. He is telling to his father, look, Daddy, something here. Tilu suddenly noted some movement, some action in the spacecraft, and others people who were in the control room, they could see. Okay. All eyes were now glued, connected to the screen. They were watching on the screen. A mechanical hand was emerging from the spacecraft. It was approaching the surface of the planet. On that time, what had happened? A mechanical hand was emerging, coming out, okay, from the spacecraft, and it was approaching to the surface of the planet. It bent and touched the soil. The mechanical hand touched the soil. What was it up to? What was it up to? People were thinking. People crowded towards the screen for a closer look. They were observing what was that. The telescopic lens of the TV camera zoomed in to the tip of the mechanical hand. Now here the telescopic lens of the TV camera zoomed in, okay, to the tip. Tip means the thin or pointed part, okay, of the mechanical hand. Tilu was staring at the control panel and its attractive button. Now Tilu was observing, looking continuously. What he was observing? The control panel and its attractive buttons. An irresistible desire got hold of him to press the most prominent of all buttons, the red one. He moved. An irresistible, overpowering, impossible to resist, impossible to control, means he was unable to control himself, Tilu, okay. So an irresistible desire got hold of him to press the most important of all buttons. He wanted to press the most important of all buttons, prominent, important, the red one. He moved towards it. Afterward, he means, you know that, he pressed the button and there was a shrill whistle and Tilu found himself the center of attention. When Tilu pressed the button, there was a shrill whistle and Tilu found himself the center of attention. What was the attention? His father pulled him away roughly, forcibly, and restored the red button. And he maintained the red button to normal position, neutral position, but the damage was done. What was the damage? The mechanical hand from the spacecraft ceased to work, and this mechanical hand stopped to work. And now here at the press conference held by NASA, a scientist was briefing, explaining the world press. What were they explaining? Everything has been going on smoothly with the Viking mission, okay. There was a small hitch. What was the problem? They were telling that everything was proper, smoothly going to the Viking mission. There was a small problem, hitch. The mechanical hand, which was to dig out the Martian soil for examination, has developed a malfunction. Malfunction means working problem. We don't know the cause, but our technicians are confident they will sort it out. They will get it. And shortly afterward, there was another press conference from NASA. You have heard the name of NASA, okay. So the mechanical hand is working again. Again in the press conference, NASA scientists said that the mechanical hand is working again. Thanks to the efforts of our technicians, soil samples are being collected on the Mars, are examined. Soon we will know the answer to the question whether there is life on Mars. Okay. Life on Mars, of all the planets in our solar systems, Mars is nearest in location and physical condition to our Earth. You know that Mars is close to our Earth. Okay. So the scientists behind the Viking mission who are working to the Viking mission were hopeful of finding life on Mars, and they were hopeful that they would get life on Mars. Okay. But they were in for a disappointment, but they were sad. The Viking mission found no sign of life on Mars. So the Viking mission found no sign of life on Mars. Now we completed the chapter, and after that we will complete the question answer. Thanks for joining the classes. Thank you.